Yeah. So put it on, it's in effect. That SOJ, bringing it back, we still standing. That's right. Just to let y'all know, man, we ain't went nowhere. We still out there putting it down. The Most High's word is gonna be pushed out there. Now what? Everything the Most High does, I hold it sacred. No stopping the sons of Jacob. You still plugged in the matrix. Got me with the cube syndrome. You love to hate this, but let's face it, I'm fully girded and you buck naked. I'm set to be a clip filler, a bone tender, last contender. Left his ass addicted to painkillers. You pain niggas are gonna find out the picture's bigger and greater than your plush navigator. Peace to player haters. You make my status go from minor to major. Like the press claim we America's real life terrorists. But we blessed the best. Forget the rest and quit the foul talkers. When it's time to pitch, you gonna mess around and bark. Lyrical night stalk, mess around and get caught. I'm already peeking, me and my brethren. Step to SOJ, you as good as dead man. And that's real quoted. IQAhmath wrote it. Got a grenade out the pen and you can hold it. Volume 1 is when the bomb exploded. It's lethal. Hear the word from the chosen Hebrews. We second to none. And keep it clicking like empty guns. Got knowledge by the ton, but not for fame. We got numerous lanes on our scope and it range. So hit the road with your $5 ass before I make change. Yeah. Bring that hook back. Bring that.
We burn the midnight oil for blood and sweat pour. Lyricals is deep like roots and soul. We still standing in demand and grandstanding. Yeah, we got the word and we still standing. We burn the midnight oil for blood and sweat pour. Lyricals is deep like roots and soul. We still standing in demand and grandstanding. Yeah, we got the word and we still standing. I'm a G like MJ with more balls than 8. Nigga lost with no glory for them calls. I'm making it let one fly for the cause 2 times for my dogs. And I change my style like draws and balls for applause. Then innovation. Who shine like stars in constellations. Congregation of prophets and priests. To say the least, we in your face like T. Hoping that niggas get offended. Calls to the rest of in it. Assassinated and finished. They walking dead. Talking to feds, but I got a file so thick. They snap flicks, X5 and shit. Taking my mug shot. Niggas mug lots. Looking for the day when I can plug hots with hot rocks. Spitting one at the 5-0 for the rich in the game. Stuck in this world for the lies, so the truth we can bring. We on the corners and curves. Just and proverbs. I heard niggas don't like it to bring it cause I serve like the night stalker. Niggas walking while I'm talking. With the words they speak, the deceased while I'm talking. Cause the roles of prophets to demolish with one look, one book, one got out of line and one shook done. Cook the beef, it's ready to be served. As I curve and swerve the mic, you observe or I burn. Nigga, please don't concern me. It's just like Calvin Klein from now. We burn the midnight oil to blood and sweat pour. Lyricals is deep like roots and soul. We're still standing in demand and grandstanding. Yeah, we got the word and we still standing. We burn the midnight oil to blood and sweat pour. Lyricals is deep like roots and soul. We're still standing in demand and grandstanding. Yeah, we got the word and we still standing.
Anytime you wanna see this right here, you know where you can find us. We acting like we be hard to see. Woo, man. I hate to laugh because this is serious business right here. You know? Listen up.
All right, shalom, shalom, peace, welcome. Shabbat shalom, indeed and in fact. This is another episode, DSTM. It's your brother Ahmath, IQAhmath, first name. IQ is all the same. DSTM, if you don't know, it's Don't Shoot the Messenger. You see the title? You know what time it is. Salute to the fam that's up with me right now. I know the notification probably went out late. Everybody wasn't expecting this Friday Night Lights, but it is what it is. Those that's riding with me, you're supposed to be in the car. Strap in them seatbelts. We about to ride. Those that's going to be hitching the ride tomorrow, you know, when they wake up, it's all good. Tap in, hit that like button, wipe your feet when you come on in here. And, you know, show some dignity, show some respect, man. You know what I mean? Look at my brother. My brother already know what time it is. What's good, good brother? Pops in the house. Are y'all in the house? Feet wiped, ready and waiting. Shalom. All praise. Uh, Kohath in the house. Shalom to you. The house of Bayon in the house. Ashar. All my faithfuls is in the house, man. Shalak in the house. Feet wiped. All praises. All praises. And anybody else that has yet to do so, be sure that you come on in here, man. Jump in the chat. Salute the saints. Bid everybody a blessed Shabbat. You dig what I'm saying? Other than that, we're gonna get right into it. We're gonna get right into it, man. You see what's going down. The US just got their credit report rating from Moody. Moody is I think it's like a company that does business analytics. They tap in and they give advice to companies and corporations. They do the overall credit rating and they watch the economics based upon the US's debts and spendings. And they've came to the conclusion that for the first time, America has dropped their credit rating. So, yeah, they're living just like every other citizen with bad credit, in debt, right? That's why the Most High said, envy not thou oppressor and choose none of his ways. We learn all manners of wickedness from him, as we go back and we commit crimes and devastation to each other, destroy our neighborhoods, colonize neighborhoods by drug trafficking and drug wars and colonizing neighborhoods through gang banging. If we learn all that stuff, we get all that from him. But even the scriptures also, the scriptures tell us to, you know what? While I'm bumping my gums, why don't I let the Most High say it? Shalom, Amakai. What's happening, sis? Why don't I let the scriptures say it? How about that? Let's go here first. You know what? It'd be nice if I was sharing. Forgive me, y'all. So Proverbs, let's go Proverbs 12, 26, right? The righteous is more excellent than his neighbor, but the way of the wicked seduceth them. Yeah, so, we learn a lot of our wickedness from Esau. Don't get me wrong. The Most High says that also Israel in our worst and most wickedest states, the Most High said we even taught the wicked his ways. So, because we're at the forefront of everything that moves in the spirit, everything that moves and vibrates within the earth, it resonates on other nations. That's why we set the trends with everything that we do. We can overcome and we can show the other nations where it looks as though, we're coming up with all of these, evil inventions and stuff like that. But at the same time, it's the influence that creates the wickedness to spread, right? But the Lord said that the righteous is more excellent than his neighbor, but the ways of the wicked seduce them. Here we go. America's credit rating is looking like the average Negro living in the hood. Is that in Proverbs? Let me see that. I think it's Proverbs 3. Here we go. 31. Envy thou not the oppressor and choose none of his ways. So, when they're going around, repoing your car, slamming your credit, rejecting you, and you're trying to go get that apartment and they telling you your credit is bad. You're trying to go get that car because your car broke down. You need the loan. Your credit bad, all that other stuff bad. He's a damn hypocrite. He can barely balance his own budget. I mean, you telling me $36 trillion in debt and he's worried about you being $5,000-$10,000 in debt? Give me a break. Having people be influenced to go get institutionalized and going to colleges, running up debt, $80,000, $100,000, $150,000 in student loan debt, $25,000 in student loan debt, all to get out in the work in the workforce with a piece of paper that doesn't guarantee you a gateway into the field of study. All to get out 6 months later, and they telling you that these government grants and loans are double coming back saying, okay, 6 months, we're giving you 6 months to get on your feet, and we're gonna need that money back. You ain't got it? Oh, too bad. That's what Slow Biden was doing, the loan forgiveness and all of that. That only went through for a certain amount of people. That's dead now. Trump then came through and was like, look, we're garnishing wages. We're coming after that student loan money because I'm in debt. I need the money, So that, amongst other things, we've got America being in their credit rating going down. You got this Edomite politician who sits on Trump's dictatorship board, who's proposing a Hunger Games type competition for citizenship for immigrants. Oh yeah, they want real life gladiator games. They want real life Hunger Games competitions, reality shows, dog eat dog, to see who wants to be a part of Babylon's citizenship. Who wants in on spiritual Egypt and spiritual Sodom? What are you willing to do for your citizenship? You dig what I'm saying? All of this, you've heard the news. Listen, if you're waiting to hear about Diddy and Baby Oil and Cassie testimony, you're not gonna get it here. Log off now. I see somebody already left. Yeah, okay, goodbye. You're not getting Diddy updates over here. Sorry. There's enough of that for you to go get distracted with, if that's your pleasure, right? But over here, we're not talking about Diddy. Okay, that's out of here, and so is he. But continuing on, you see here that you heard about Trump. Oh, he's got a $600 billion deal. The Saudis is investing. Look, it's working. Everything that he's talking about, they're coming down, bending the knee, spreading wealth, and giving him money. America's going to be great again. You just wait and see. Well, we got to look and see. Well, 600 billion is a lot of bread, but how is it really getting spent? Where are they investing in? Is it Negro and Hispanic? Are you going to see some of that money? Is it really going to come back to the hood? Is it really going to be an investment that's going to uplift the downtrodden and forgotten? You think so? You know damn well it ain't. You know it's not. You know it's not. Right. More airplane, airport madness going on, man. Denver airport's going, having technical difficulties. Planes having to fly around for 6 minutes before they can get back communication so they can safely land. New Jersey airports still down and hacked. I mean, all kind of madness is still continuing and going on, man. All praise to the Most High. All right, so let's get to it. I'm not gonna be too much long-winded on this whole matter, man. Let's just share. Let's just share. All right. How about this? All right. So they had a meeting. There was a meeting in Turkey that they had set up for Russia and Ukraine to meet among some other, UN nations and all of that. They were trying to negotiate and get a peace deal, right? And guess who didn't show up? Yeah, you guessed it. You already know. Putin said, I'm not doing that. That's off the table. Not talking no peace, right? Russia, Ukraine talks wrap up in under 2 hours. These people over here flying private, getting these big old Boeing jets and the whole nine, flying over, 10-hour flights, doing them, all thinking we're getting ready to come over here and get some peace. And under 2 hours, they wrapped that thing up and was like, ain't nothing happening here. Buckle down. World War III is still on the table. Thus saith the Lord, right? Look, the Friday meeting between Ukrainian and Russian officials, the first direct engagement of its kind in some 3 years, has ended, according to Turkey's foreign ministry, and lasted a little under 2 hours. Each side will, in the aftermath, convey to the press its version of things. Now, remember Marco Rubio and Trump was talking about they were running down a deadline on Russia and told them, hey, you guys need to come to the table and get a peace deal or we're walking away. Well, that was like a couple of weeks ago. One thing I've noticed, man, Agent Orange and those that's in his administration, they love to throw out threats just to get reaction. And then they always double back. He laid down them heavy tariffs and went wild. And then what'd he do? Double back. He folded for China. He folded for Mexico. He folded for Canada. Trump is a classic big mouth like bully. You know what I'm saying? Like the one who talks all the stuff, and then when it's time to show and prove and get that action cracking, you don't see him. Or he switches up speech. That's the fork-tongued nature of the so-called white. The double-mindedness, the instability, right? So he's done that already on a number of occasions. So much for that. If you don't get a deal done, we're walking out of here. We're out of here. Okay, well, what's going on? Putin called a bluff. He said, well, I'm not talking about no peace. You can forget about it. Let's get it cracking. East side will, in the aftermath, convey to the press its version of things, and Ukraine has been right out of the gate telling CNN that there was nothing meaningful to come out of these first talks. A Ukrainian source said the Russian delegation, quote, did not have a mandate to make important decisions, and that, quote, they are not ready to decide anything meaningful to end the war. How tragic. How tragic. Here he goes right here in his dirty sweatshirt again.
Moments ago in the Turkish capital of Ankara, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky arrived ahead of peace talks set to begin today with Russia in Istanbul, aimed at finding an end to the war. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, along with presidential envoy Steve Witkoff and retired Army Lieutenant General Keith Kellogg, expected to join the negotiations tomorrow. Secretary Rubio arrived in Turkey yesterday for meetings with NATO officials. Russia's Vladimir Putin is not expected to attend this week's peace talks in Turkey. President Trump addressed Putin's absence from the negotiations during a business roundtable earlier today in Qatar.
No, I didn't anticipate. I actually said, why would he go if I'm not going? Because I wasn't going to go. I wasn't planning to. I would go.
Look, he's not even going. What happened to I'm going to end the war in 24 hours when he gets inaugurated January 20th? Didn't he say what? Hold on. I thought he was about peace. He was going to end all the wars. Now he's got an opportunity to be a mediator at a peace conference or a conference or a council geared toward the peace of Ukraine and Russia. And he says, I'm not surprised Putin didn't show up because I'm not going. I mean, do you see the hypocrisy of this guy? Let me back him up.
Qatar.
Disappointed by that? No, I didn't anticipate. I actually said, why would he go if I'm not going? Because I wasn't going to go. I wasn't planning to. I would go, but I wasn't planning to go. And I said, I don't think he's going to go if I don't go. And that turned out to be right. But we have people there. Marco, as you know, is doing a fantastic job. Marco's there, Secretary of State, and we have people there. But I didn't think it was possible for Putin to go if I'm not there.
Here with the latest there.
Marco Rubio isn't here right now.
And Marco Rubio was late. They looking for him. He ain't even there. I mean, they out here doing political theater for real, man. Look at this, Joe. Job 21. And we're going to read 15 and 16. It says, what is the Almighty that we should serve him? This is the ways of the wicked, the rich. You know who this is. The so-called white man and his rulership and his dominion. He has a God complex. He believes he is the Most High. He's saying, well, what profit is it for me to serve the Most High? What can I get out of the deal? What's he going to do for me? It's always about take, never give, never be subservient, never bow down. He's not doing that. What is the Almighty that we should serve him? And what profit should we have? What can I get out of it? If I can't get anything out of it, I'm not serving him. For what? This always go. Remember, how do we know this is a so-called white man? Who had opportunity to have the birthright and turned it down over hunger pains? What? That covenant, what good is that? I'm hungry. Feed me some of that red pottage and you can have it. This is how you know it was a so-called white man, Esau, Edom, the descendants of Esau. Because the same mentality, the same spirit is resonating all throughout the scriptures. You don't have to see it said, they didn't say Esau. You have to precept. You got to understand who has that mentality, who had opportunity to serve the Most High and have the covenant and turned it down. Yeah. Esau. What profit should we have if we pray unto him? Lo, their good is not in their hand. The counsel of the wicked is far from me. That's why the Most High is spoiling that counsel. The Most High is not in the midst of that trying to, establish peace. That goes against everything prophetic. It goes against him, going in there and showing favor to the wicked. The Lord said, I'm upset with the wicked every day. Lo, their good is not in their hand. There's no good that's going to come up out of that situation. You heard it from Agent Orange himself. He said, I'm not even going. I expect Putin not to show up. Then they like, yeah, well, he sent Marco Rubio. Yeah, Rubio's going to be there. Good job. Then the reporter's like, well, Rubio's not here right now.
Moments ago in the Turkish capital of Ankara, Ukrainian president
planning to go, and I said, I don't think he's going to go if I don't go, and that turned out to be right. But we have people there. And Marco, as you know, is doing a fantastic job. Marco's there, Secretary of State, and we have people there. But I didn't think it was possible for Putin to go if I'm not there.
here with the latest there.
Marco Rubio isn't here right now. Not here by the Bosphorus here in Istanbul.
Yeah, Marco's there. He's there. Though, he's doing a fantastic job. But the witness is saying Marco Rubio is not here. Good Lord.
He's in Antalya, where there is a informal NATO meeting, long planned. The Russians are here, but they are a much reduced group of negotiators than might have been expected, led by Vladimir Medinsky, the former culture minister in Russia, a man who does not have the stature, for example, of Foreign Minister Lavrov or other members of the Russian.
So Putin sent a couple of reps out there who was pretty much stooges. What's a minister of culture? What power and what can he go in there and talk about stopping nuclear war? How can he go in there and stop World War III? How can he go in there and stop anything? Well, I'm in here representing culture, Russian culture. They're in there playing games, man.
Delegation that have been negotiating with Steve Witkoff. So it's difficult to tell exactly what we're going to get. It doesn't seem to be going very well. Right now, President Zelensky is Antakya, the capital, and he is there meeting with Erdogan. Already, though, the Russians and Ukrainians throwing abuse at each other from a distance. So Zelensky saying that President Putin has simply sent stand-in props for these negotiations.
Well, yeah, that's about right. He did.
Moments ago in the
look at it. EU President von der Leyen says Putin does not want peace after absence in Turkey. Vladimir Putin was absent from peace talks with Ukraine and Turkey on Thursday, and European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen had something to say on it. Yeah, well, he doesn't want peace. He has no choice. Thus saith the Most High. Ezekiel 38:4, everybody knows the scripture. And I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws. That's why he cannot do his own will. He's being controlled. He's being directed by the Most High. He's being pulled into war. He can talk about, hey, I want peace, but it's got to be on my terms. I need Crimea. I need Kiev. I need these particular regions in the Ukraine back being part of Russia, and then we can call off the dogs. That ain't going to happen. Because the hooks are already in him. He's being pulled in the direction that the Most High wants. And the Most High said, you ain't getting on no damn plane. You're not going to Turkey, and you ain't talking peace. And now you got the United Nations coming out saying he doesn't want peace. We're going to have to strategize and get a plan together, because the UN/the EU/NATO has continually been saying that they want war. Right? So they want to push the World War III button. Mama Cardi said, what AI? I'm not sure what you're talking about. What was AI? Let me know. All right. So, continuing on, it says that I'll turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth and all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. So they're all preparing for war, armored up, droned out, bombs awaiting. You dig what I'm saying? Like they're preparing for warfare, and there's not going to be no, hey, let's sit down and let's have a chat. Trump even said, I'm not going. I'll go send what's the name, Marco Rubio, and they looking for him. They like, oh, he's over at the NATO summit, but he'll be here in a little while. Do you really like if it's that important? You all hands will be on deck if they're really trying to stop this thing. I'll let you know that the real elements of war is still on the table, and it's still going to go down because the Most High ordained it. They can't do nothing about it. The Most High said that there's no good that's going to come from that. I'm far from that council. I'm not in that wicked council. Please. Look, terrifying satellite images show Russian army at Finland's border as World War III fears surge. So they're looking at Russia even moving closer to Finland, which is a NATO nation. That's going to put them on high alert. Look, newly released satellite images show a Russian military buildup near a neighboring country's border, sparking fears of an assault on NATO. So while everybody's, hearing about the gritty details of the freak-offs, Russia's moving in on NATO. Peace talks that was geared towards trying to end that war was all a sham. And we can see everything is moving full speed ahead. You understand what I'm saying? So look, we got to stay vigilant. Got to stay focused. Because you dang right. I said we ain't talk about Diddy. I guess I'm not really going to talk about it. But I am just going to say this. Consistent reminder, right? 1 Peter 5 and 8, be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about, seeking whom he may devour. The hunt is on, y'all. I mean, we've got to remain soberly minded. Not you can't drink or whatever the case may be. Moderation, do it right. But sober meaning being aware, being cognizant of what's going on, being in tune in the spirit, vigilant, being what? On guard. Noticing, looking, paying attention. Why? Because our adversary, the devil, he's walking about like a roaring lion, trying to catch us slipping. So we got to stay focused. We got to know what time it is. But they're casting out every dang, distraction that they can. NBA playoffs, P. Diddy, the economy, whatever is going on. There's a gambit of things that could be distracting. Major League Baseball, soccer, everything for the brothers, for the sisters is out there. There's all kind of damn reality shows for you to get drowned out with. It's a TikTok, Instagram, reels galore that just have you, have what they call tech neck. I remember telling y'all about that. I went to a chiropractor like about a year or two ago, getting aligned and getting cracking back into shape, right? And he was telling me about that. It was like, you'd be surprised. It's a new thing going on. He was like, it's called tech neck, because of people constantly down on their phones, jacking up the alignment of their neck, or those that work on computers, tablets, whatever the case may be, is a constant issue now. People coming out humpback and scoliosis and stuff after when it's all said and done. You wonder why you all humpback and looking on like this when you get older. After doing 20 and 30 years, tech necked out on the phones and all that, yeah, that's why. Straighten up. All right. Let's continue on. There goes another video. Trump announces his plan to lift U.S. sanctions on Syria in a high-stakes trip to Mideast. This is pretty wild. He lifted the sanctions on Syria. Now, if you remember, months ago, when Syria had that big old coup and that uprising, and if you remember, the person who took over Syria, because they were trying to figure out, well, who are they going to give Syria to? Israel was over there trying to lobby to get it. The U.S. was over there looking at throw a puppet over in there. Turkey wanted it. They wanted control of Syria. And they said that a quote unquote ex-Al Qaeda leader, traded in his mitri or the turban and his desert clothes, his terrorist garments for a 3-piece suit. Do y'all remember me playing that video and showing that some months ago? I hope you do. Because now you notice, now the U.S. says, well, part of this deal with them getting that $600 billion from Saudi Arabia was taking off the sanctions from Syria so that they can operate freely. Mind you, again, this is being ran by a quote-unquote ex-terrorist who was vowed that, okay, let me remind y'all, this is the same cat. Remember they was doing all the quote-unquote cleansing of the Christians because the Christians you had the Alawites and you had all the different Muslim and Christians that were living in Syria and under Bashir al-Assad. He was out there slaughtering the faction of the Muslims that was there that his fraction of Muslims didn't get along with. They was out slaughtering. Now the tables are turned. They going out killing everybody. There was a cat. I think I played the video. He was on the phone. He was crying, saying, he was hoping somebody help him get them out of there. He just wanted, he didn't care if they took him. Just let his sisters and his mother escape. They were going through real civil war and killing each other. And the dude that took over, he said, "Look, I'm telling them. I told my people, we're going to get revenge on everybody." And then he double spoke and said, "But I'm going to stop the killing of the Christians." You'll see in a minute. We'll catch up on that in a second. Because you got to double back and you say, well, if Trump is trying to stop these wars, he's trying to stop the bloodshed, why would you sit back and take the sanctions off and endorse a known quote-unquote terrorist who is supposed to be the enemies of America? What happened to 9/11? Never forget. Remember that? Weapons of mass destruction. Oh, we're fighting Al Qaeda. We're fighting the Taliban. We're fighting ISIS and ISIL and whatever. Oh, now we're lifting sanctions and we're letting them ride, huh? Oh, okay. Let's see.
Dive into summer styling savings during the Memorial Day event at Living Spaces. Enjoy cozy lounging with
President Trump in Saudi Arabia.
There we forget that the U.S. has funded the Taliban for years. Dare we forget that Osama bin Laden was trained by America in the 80s under the Mujahideen to fight against the Russians in the Cold War for America. Oh, remember all of that? So, America loves to use the wild man of the Middle East as puppets to do their dirty work. The jackals and the hyenas of the Middle East, he goes out there and tells them, go out there and wreak havoc. So then when I go over and pretend to be the good guy, I can conquer some more lands, get some more resources, some oil, broker some more deals with the towel heads. And that's not a good term because, the Israelite dress code involved having mitris or diadems and headdresses and head wraps and all of that. So I take that back. That became a derogatory term for the damn Muslims, as if, they were the only ones wearing mitris. That is a custom and a garment of the holy men of the scriptures. So I take that back. How about the sand NIWGAs? Yeah, how about that? He uses them to create chaos, and then he goes in and pretends to be the good guy. Classic Hegelian dialectic, problem, reaction, solution. He causes a problem to incite a reaction, and then he proposes with the solution. Let this play.
Getting a royal welcome there. The Crown Prince rolling out the lavender carpet. The President praising Saudi investments in the U.S., but there are questions tonight about the Trump family working right now on business interests of their own in the same countries President Trump is now visiting. Mary Bruce travel.
There's troubling news that his sons is riding over there, getting some business deals done. That could cause a conflict of interest. They're not supposed to be over there siphoning off money and getting deals off of his father's name. That was the same stuff that was going on with Slow Biden and Hunter Biden and not Bo Biden. Bo Biden is the son that died. What's his other son's name? I mean, other brother's name. I forgot his other brother's name. All of them was involved in the same corruption, man. Swinging deals with Ukraine, swinging deals with China, extorting nations, doing all these damn business deals with the quote unquote enemy. And they out here, making a come up. The Biden crime family, they had that moniker. And here we hear Trump and his brood doing the same thing. It's the way of politics, y'all. That's what these damn demons do. Somebody just said the troubling news that the Trump family is over here profiteering off the
interests of their own and the same countries President Trump is now visiting. Mary Bruce traveling with the president. She's in Riyadh tonight.
Tonight, Saudi Arabia with a lavish welcome for President Trump. Fighter jets escorting Air Force One into Riyadh. The Saudi
Arabia getting a royal welcome there.
And remember, even I forgot. I think it was Qatar gifted him that plane. Gave him his own private plane. He's taking bribes. He's taking bribes, which is against the law. He's being persuaded. Where's that scripture in Psalms? Yeah, here we go. Psalm 26 and 10. It says, in whose hands is mischief, and their right hand is full of bribes. So this is what happened. Let me give it some justice. Let's read 9 and 10. Psalm 26. Gather not my soul with sinners, nor my life with bloody men, in whose hands is mischief, and in their right hand is full of bribes. Didn't the Most High said, a gift destroyeth the heart? When you're dealing in the seat of judgment, you're not supposed to take bribes to be persuaded. He's getting damn the lavender carpet treatment. They're gifting him planes. They're allowing his sons to go over there and strike $1 million deals to get bread. He had his crypto group that he got, where he was saying if you invest millions in his crypto, that he'll grant you a meeting. Man, this guy is wicked as all outdoors, man. Wicked as all outdoors. There you go. All right, let's continue. Look at this. Get the hell out of here.
President Trump in Saudi Arabia getting a royal welcome there. The Crown Prince rolling out the lavender carpet. The president praising Saudi investments in the U.S., but there are questions tonight about the Trump family working right now on business interests of their own in the same countries President Trump is now visiting. Mary Bruce traveling with the president. She's in Riyadh tonight.
Tonight, Saudi Arabia with a lavish welcome for President Trump. Fighter jets escorting Air Force One into Riyadh. The Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman rolling out the lavender carpet.
It's an honor to be my friend, and we've had a tremendous relationship over the years.
Joining Trump, leaders of some of the world's most powerful companies, from IBM to Google and Elon Musk.
Now, do you hear that? Just a side note, and I'm gonna let it play. There's an understanding some Israelites have. Esau's the Arabs. Of course, we hold what the scriptures say, and history and archaeology and so many other things say that the so-called white man is Esau. Now, if the earth's been given into the hand of the wicked, is one aspect of it. Scriptures speak about, Babylon, and all the nations are going to come bowing down to him. Just look at the spirit behind what's going on. The person that's in control of the earth, and the scriptures tell you that the last captivity is under the so-called white man before he gets, put to death. Who's running the most powerful nation on the earth, which is Babylon, the mother of harlots, so forth and so on? It's America, being headed up by the so-called white man. Now, if America is running the earth, who's heading that up? The white man. Here he goes. I mean, just look at the spirit and look at what they're doing. They're rolling out the velvet carpet for him, the lavender carpet for him. It says all billionaire and high businesses, they're all coming to come meet him and talk to him. The Arabs are bowing down to him, giving him $600 billion in deals. The Arabs are over there, giving him escorts with fighter jets. The Arabs are the ones that's over there telling his sons, make sure we get in good with your daddy and we'll give you some good deals. I mean, it's ridiculous to even think that anybody outside of this guy is the white man.
Joining Trump, leaders of some of the world's most powerful companies from IBM.
The world's most powerful companies are joining him. Who's in control of the earth? The world's most powerful companies accompanying him. The earth is in the hands of the wicked. Google, IBM, they're all coming with him.
To Google and Elon Musk. The president touting $600 billion in Saudi investments in the U.S.
So exciting. So exciting. Mohammed, do you sleep at night? How do you sleep?
He's sitting in the front row, digging in his nose. Did y'all see that? Look at this guy. Digging for gold. Caught him. Caught him. Digging for gold. Live on camera. And look at him. He look like he's looking at him laughing like, you dirty. Let me go.
Just thinking. Critics doubted that it was possible what you've done, but over the past 8 years, Saudi Arabia has proved the critics totally wrong.
Hanging over the trip, serious questions about Trump's own business interests. His sons, who now run the Trump Organization, have projects in the works in all three countries the president is visiting.
Everywhere they touch down, his sons are getting a piece. They're heading up projects. They're getting in positions to run stuff. Look at the Trump Towers getting built up over there.
Trump Tower, Jeddah. Coming soon.
You trying to tell me global? The earth is, if not, where and who is he? I mean, come on. The Trump Organization, where he's touching down, man, he's capitalizing. They bowing down. Trump Tower coming soon to the Middle East.
Today, Trump announcing that at the Saudi Crown Prince's request, he will lift U.S. sanctions on Syria, now that the Assad regime has crumbled and a new government is in place.
I will be ordering the cessation of sanctions against Syria in order to give them a chance at greatness.
The president then saying, "Oh, what I do for the Crown Prince."
Oh, what I do for the Crown Prince.
Trump also.
You know what? You see this dude? He said, "Oh, what I do for the Crown Prince," right? You gotta be careful with this guy. Sirach 13:4. If thou be for his profit, he will use thee. But if thou have nothing, he will forsake thee. If thou have anything, he will live with thee. Muhammad, how do you sleep? Muhammad, I love you. Muhammad, my friend, right? Yeah, he will make thee bear and will not be sorry for it. Give me that 600 billion. Make sure my sons walk out of here with some more bread in the pocket. Keep it all in the family. I'm getting Trump Towers built up over here. Yeah, we can do business. All you need is your buddies in Syria to get some sanctions lift off of them so they can start bubbling again and terrorism can reign supreme again. Oh yeah, cool, no problem. Because I'm gonna make sure I go over there and clean that up. It's all in the plan. Look, if he have need of thee, he will deceive thee. Oh, what I wouldn't do for the president from my I love him. If he had need, he will deceive thee and put a smile upon thee and put thee in hope. Did you see that dude smiling? He was grinning cheek to cheek. Hold on. Let's go back. Let me just make sure.
Stylish.
We got to look at it real time.
President Trump in Saudi Arabia getting a royal welcome there. The Crown Prince rolling out the
about Trump's own business interests.
Grinning cheek to cheek, boy. Look at him. What is that? If he had needed thee, he will deceive thee and put a smile upon thee and put thee in hope. He will speak thee fair and say, what wantest thou? What do we need to do to make the deal? 600 billion? Okay. Lift the sanctions on Syria? No problem. For 600 billion, I can do that. You know. What wantest thou? Oh, what I wouldn't do. What I wouldn't do for Muhammad. I love it. The devil, man. Good Lord. And he will shame thee by his meats until he have drawn thee dry twice or thrice. And at the last, he will laugh thee to scorn afterward. When he seeth thee, he will forsake thee and will shake his head at thee. See? When the double cross goes down, when America, when America's quote unquote great again by his terms, you're going to say the hell with all of this stuff. He can't help it. That's the greed and the nature of the so-called white. He's going to go back on his word. That's why the scriptures say that all the nations are going to turn on him. The 10 horns are going to turn on him.
President Trump in Saudi Arabia getting
hate him in the fire.
Coming soon.
Today, Trump announcing that at the Saudi Crown Prince's request, he will lift U.S. sanctions on Syria now that the Assad regime has crumbled and a new government is in place.
I will be ordering the cessation of sanctions against Syria in order to give them a chance at greatness.
Put him in hope.
The president then saying, oh, what I do for the Crown Prince.
Oh, what I do for the Crown Prince.
Trump also extending an olive branch to Iran.
I have never.
That was a pause moment for the youngsters out there, the little YNs that always say pause at every little suspect comment that's being made that sounds maybe sodomitish. He said, oh, well, I wouldn't. You got a question. What wouldn't you do, man? Sounds like you're ready to do anything. And there's no fornicator worse than Esau.
Never believed in.
So everything's on the table.
Having permanent enemies.
Appearing to lay out a foreign policy approach based on whether you can make a deal, regardless of past history, from embracing the Saudi Crown Prince years after U.S.
Ishmael can't stop smiling that Esau's there with him, man. You tell me who the hell the damn white man is who's controlling the earth. He can't stop smiling, so happy that he's there.
Intelligence concluded he orchestrated the murder of Washington Post journalist Jamal Khashoggi to forging ties with Russia's Vladimir Putin.
Far too many American.
Let's move on. Trump's embrace of Syria and his jihadist turned president could shake up the Middle East. Remember what we talked about. If he have needed these, he's going to use these. Get him back into the Syrian leader, Ahmed al-Shara'a. Jihadist. Isn't that a terrorist? What's a jihadist? Maybe I'm tripping. Maybe I'm making that up. Hold on, before we even go there. Let's look at this deal. Let's look at a little bit of this. We need to know. It sounds like 600 billion is coming to America. He's making good on this promise, man. IQ, you've been wrong. America's about to be great again. It's about to be affordable again. White man's coming to save us. White Zaddy is going to be there when we need him most. Oh, yeah? Okay. What is the $600 billion Trump-Saudi deal? In a summary of the deal released on Tuesday, the White House said that Saudi Arabia has made a $600 billion commitment to invest in the United States. Okay. Nice. It listed a number of private investments promised by Saudi firms, including a $20 billion commitment from DataVolt to establish AI data centers and energy infrastructure in the U.S. She may say, okay, well, that's going to bring jobs to America, man. Who's going to build these data centers? That's going to be sure. And in the short term, long term, your replacements are on the way. See, the beast system is still getting built up. The beast system is already, a lot of the mechanics of the system is in place, but they need more driving force to have complete domination and control. AI is going to be part of it. Tech is going to be part of it, right? Energy infrastructure. So 20 billion is going there in the U.S. The list included several partnerships between Saudi and U.S. companies, including Google, Uber, and Boeing. Where we've seen what was going on with Boeing and all them planes and everything getting jacked up a year or so ago. Google, we know that this is damn near the eye of the beast. Everything's locked into Google. So they're going to enhance and get Google going. Uber, as we can see, is another arm of the beast. The later securing a $4.8 billion order for 737s from Rita-based aircraft lessor. Multiple American firms have also reported agreed to assist Saudi infrastructure projects such as the King Salman International Airport and Qiddiya City. The White House said that these projects will total $2 billion in U.S. service exports. So the U.S. is going to export $2 billion worth of goods to help them build up this King Salman Airport and building up this city. So the U.S. is going to get $2 billion in export money, sending them stuff to help them build up this, to get up this airport. You think any of this money is going to come to help you Negroes and Hispanics? Is that going to create jobs? Oh, for the ports are the same ones that the robots and the AIs are already taking over. You know, a vast majority, I don't know the percentage, but there's a high percentage already at the LA ports is already being ran by robots. So, by the time all this gets, they're going to really have automation really cracking. That's why the AI infrastructure is already getting lined up. So far, unless you're in the tech center, energy infrastructure, it's not going to really benefit any of us in the immediate. The big companies, corporations, the stocks, and they know where to invest that money and how to double back and get their money. The laborers is going to build up these, buildings and all that. You notice all these commercial buildings are already open for sale. They already got, abandoned because of the pandemic and everything else. So it's not like, they are going to have to build up whole new metropolises. They're going to find some cities that got empty buildings, buy the building out, throw some people up in there to work. And so there might not even be that big of a need for people to build infrastructure centers to, for people to go in there and work. So I don't know, but so far it don't sound like too much money we can see affecting our neighborhoods, our cities, our job line, bottom lines. It's not going to be affecting the grocery prices. Nothing. We can't see none of that right now. But let's continue. Let's see. As noted by the New York Times, listed investment securities were short on specifics. Oh, so we were not getting the whole story. Together amount of less than half the deadline, $600 billion figure that the White House said that the published investments were, quote, just a few of the many transformative deals secured in Saudi Arabia. Let's see here. Let's see. Okay, so it says the White House announced several companies announced deals with Saudi firms. So several companies are getting deals. You know what that means? Insider trading. They're getting first dibs at the money. It's not coming back to you, me, and anybody else. Saudi firms made these deals with the Saudi firms during Trump's visit to the kingdom. NVIDIA, whose CEO Jensen Huang met with Trump and Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman during the Saudi U.S. investment forum, announced it will be partnering with Humane, an AI startup owned by the Kingdom's sovereign wealth fund, and sending 18,000 chips to the country to power AI projects. So that's not coming to America. They're sending 18,000 chips and they're getting some bread back. CEO Jensen Huang of NVIDIA, he's getting some money. How's that going to help America? If you're investing in NVIDIA stock, yeah, you might get you might get a little money up out of the deal. But who's got money to invest right now? Everybody's living check to check. 70% of the people is economically depressed right now. So come on. Amazon Web Services. Oh, Amazon's in on. Similarly announced a partnership with Humane to invest $5 billion in the creation of an AI zone. See how everything's going to, even the sad niggas in the desert, you're going to get in this beast system. You're going to be involved in the web, right? Make sure that they're locked in. Who else is getting in on? A lot of this you keep seeing. What is it, another AI infrastructure? Everything is, tech-based AI developments. Alongside several investments in AI infrastructure, there is a private investment of $80 billion from U.S. and Saudi firms aimed to developing cutting-edge transformative technologies in both countries. But here's the big one. Folded into the wider investment package is a significant $142 billion arms deal, dubbed, quote, the largest defense sales agreement in history. So, part of that $600 billion, the biggest investment, they're getting paid $142 billion to send Saudi Arabia state-of-the-art war-fighting equipment and services from the U.S. and more than a dozen U.S. companies. Is that coming back to us, or is that the government's getting that money? White man's getting that money. Raytheon and all these other weapons manufacturers. They're getting that money. Well, we're not going to see none of that. $142 billion to send them and sell them weapons. That's just some of the things. I encourage you to go back and go check it out for yourself, right? So $600 billion so far, we ain't seeing too much of it. Now we're seeing here. Let me get back on track. We were looking at what is a jihadist. What's a jihadist? Because they saying that this guy, he's not into it no more. This is all trash. See, they are trying to, they are trying to clean it up a little bit. So there's, it's a struggle or effort. Depends on the context, but the bottom line is used to refer to a Muslim extremist. Okay, that's really what it boils down to. The term jihad is derived from the Arabic root jahada, meaning to exert strength and effort to use all means in order to accomplish a task by any means necessary. An extremist. That's what they would say that you so-called blacks and Hispanics are calling yourself Israelites wearing your fringes are. Do you think that he would endorse one of us? We're looked at as a hate group. We're looked at as the scum of the earth, the bottom of everybody's shoe. Believe it to him. Oh, no. That used to be me. Now that I'm throwing on this suit, I'm a good guy. But Trump said no sanctions. Calling off the dogs, man. We got to get a partnership together. Well, if you do a little research and you see about America's relationship with, let me give one example. I said it, let's prove it. U.S. taxpayers may be funding the Taliban and Afghan terror groups. Is the U.S. funding the Taliban? U.S. is sending aid to independent groups in Afghanistan. UN has flown $2.9 billion in cash to Afghanistan since the Taliban seized it. Feds send millions of taxpayer dollars to the Taliban. Okay, point proven. So America has relationships with quote-unquote terror groups, the enemy, and meanwhile they're funding them. There's an old video with Geraldo Rivera. He was in Afghanistan interviewing the troops, and they was guarding the poppy fields. And if anybody knows, the poppy fields is what they create and make heroin from. And matter of fact, see, I gotta move in the spirit now. Let's see if they show. Look at this. Geraldo Rivera. Oh, see, they got the whole damn thing. This gonna work, yeah. Like, there's plenty of videos here. U.S. soldiers grow opium, heroin, poppy fields in Afghanistan. Here they go right here. See them? This is where they make the heroin from. Geraldo in 2010 did a video. Investigative. Look at this. Look back. Fox justified. Hold on. Fair use. Good job. Look back at Fox. Well, this is just the video. I'm not going to play it. A look back at Fox and Friends justifies the management of the Afghani opium trade with Geraldo Rivera. So America's been involved in the opium heroin trade. They was out there guarding. If you haven't seen it, go on YouTube and go watch it. They out there picking and the heroin trade. America's had relationships with terrorists and drug dealers for years on end. So this is nothing new. This is par for the course. We just got to seeing if he have need of thee, he's going to use thee. He's going to laugh in their face. He's going to take advantage of them. He's going to use the media to portray them as these old evil sand niggas who love chopping heads off and Muslim extremists. And meanwhile, behind closed doors, man, they doing backdoor deals. And America's profiteering off of it all. U.S. President Donald Trump on Wednesday had tea with former jihadists who, until recently, had a $10 million U.S. bounty on his head. Oh, $10 million bounty. Trump get over there and said, for $600 billion, I'll wipe that away. I'll take the sanctions off. Y'all can get busy and do whatever you want. Interim Syrian President Ahmed al-Sharaa, once known by his militant nom de guerre as Abu Muhammad al-Jalani, met Trump in Riyadh 6 months after leading a swift campaign that toppled the half-century-old Assad regime, ejecting Iran-backed armed groups and declaring himself leader of the country. Al-Sharaa was placed on the U.S. specially designed global terrorist list, in 2013 for heading al-Qaeda's affiliate in Syria known as al-Nusra Front and allegedly orchestrating suicide bombings across Syria. The Saudi-born former jihadist had spent years fighting U.S. forces in Iraq. Hello? I mean, he just repented. Everything's great. He's a changed man, right? That extremist, them beliefs that he had of Islam and all, he doesn't feel that way anymore. You know, if y'all believe that, the white man went to the moon, man, and he bought a piece of it, a little plot of land for me, so I can sell to you. You know, if you believe that, I got some land on the moon. I bought from Esau when he landed on the. Oh, you don't believe that either? Oh, okay, all right. Let's be clear. Global terrorist, 2013, for heading al-Qaeda's affiliate in Syria. Known as al-Nusra Front and allegedly orchestrating suicide bombings in Syria. The Saudi-born former jihadist had spent years fighting U.S. forces in Iraq before moving to Syria to lead an armed Islamist rebellion that ousted the brutal dictator Bashar al-Assad. And now he's best friends with Trump. Goodness gracious. You can't make this up. Let's move on. What happened here? Am I missing something? Oh, I think I did, but whatever. Okay, here. Let me play this other clip of this movie. I mentioned it damn near every DSTM that I do. South of the border, if you haven't seen it. I'm going to play this clip, right? Fair use. This is for the purposes of criticism, commentary, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, education, and research. This clip that I'm going to play from South of the border is, at the time, this guy was president of Argentina, President Nestor Kirchner. And they're discussing George Bush. Now, Argentina was facing real financial issues and trouble right now. He went and asked and got advice from George Bush. Let's hear what happened in that conversation. What did Bush say makes money? Now, if the sound is good, put a 7 in the chat if y'all can hear. I need to turn it, let me turn up just a little bit for y'all. Because you're gonna have to, follow along because the subtitle. Now he said this is what Bush told him. He said, "I say it's not necessary to kneel before power."
No hay que ser, ni hay que arrodillarse ante el poder, ni se necesita ser maleducado para decirle las cosas que tienen.
And he said, "Nor do you got to be rude to need to be rude to say the things you have to say."
Aquellos que han usufructuado y han sojuzgado a nuestras naciones. Se genera una discusión en Monterrey y yo digo que acá la solución.
So he talking about his conversation with Bush. He said they had a conversation in Monterrey. He said that a solution for the problems right now.
Para generar rápidamente, ¿qué es la solución que hay que hacer ahora? Es un plan Marshall. Y se paró de la silla y se enojó. Me dijo, no, plan Marshall, no, esa es una idea loca de los demócratas, me dice.
So he said, he's saying they might need to do a Marshall Plan. Well, what's a Marshall Plan? He said the Marshall Plan officially, and I'm gonna use AI as much as I talk bad about AI for time's sake. I'm gonna have to do it. He was looking to get some money from the Marshall Plan. Okay, so the Marshall Plan, officially known as the European Recovery Program, was a U.S. initiative enacted in 1948 to provide economic aid to Western Europe after World War II, aimed at rebuilding war-torn economies and preventing the spread of communism. It allocated over $13 billion to help restore infrastructure, industries, and overall economic stability in participating countries. So, in other words, the problems that Argentina was having with money, he says, well, I'm going to have to enact the Marshall Plan. I'm going to go beg the U.S. and try to get some money to help me, rebuild and get some stability with our economy. Bush told him, what? Marshall Plan, you don't need to do that.
De las cosas que tienen aquellos que han sofructuado y han sojuzgado a nuestras naciones. Se genera una discusión en Monterrey y yo digo que acá la solución para generar rápidamente, ¿qué es la solución que hay que hacer ahora? Es un plan Marshall. Y se paró de la silla y se enojó. Me dijo, no, plan Marshall, no, esa es una idea loca de los demócratas, me dice. Y que lo que hay que hacer acá y la mejor manera de dinamizar es...
You see what he said? He said the best way to revitalize the economy is war. This is coming from the president of Argentina at the time, George Bush's president. 9/11 went down 2001, for y'all to remember. Bush said that there was weapons of mass destruction. Remember that? And that was all a lie. We're not even going to talk about the controversies regarding was 9/11 an inside job, all that other stuff, right? Got the war cracking for 20 years. That war was going down. What'd they get out the deal? They got more oil. They got more control and influence in the Middle East. We just seen it. They were having the poppy field. They was running the heroin trade. I mean, they did it all. He says, you want some money, start a war.
Estados Unidos ha crecido en base a las guerras, me dijo.
United States has grown stronger with war. How long have we been? Let me see if y'all been paying attention to all these damn DSTNs over the years. How many years has America had peace since its quote unquote birthday in 1776? How many years? We did the math. We looked at it a number of times. And mind you, 1776, this July 4th is the 250-year quote unquote birthday of this godforsaken place. So they're really gonna do it up this summer. The 250-year birthday of America. All right, a couple of y'all are on point. It's in that range. So only two of y'all been paying attention. Okay, the rest of y'all either sleep, scratching your head, picking lint out your navels. Who knows? But yes, anywhere between 15 to 17 years, that's all the time. That's the only peacetime that they've had in almost 250 years. The United States has grown stronger with war. As long as they're constantly engaged in war, as long as they're constantly engaged in arms selling, they're constantly engaged in, the weapons dealings, drug trade, everything. They're always going to remain strong.
Así me lo dijo. Bueno, digo, es un
War.
gresillo.
Who said that?
Dijo eso, textuales palabras. Así que,
Is he suggesting South America go to war?
bueno, decía que Estados Unidos, nunca dijo de América del Sur, que Estados Unidos, que era un error de los demócratas, que todo el crecimiento económico de Estados Unidos había sido en base a las distintas guerras que tuvo. Es decir,
all the economic growth has been encouraged by wars. So now do you see why the majority, $142 billion, is being sent to Saudi Arabia to make weapons for war? Now do you see why they take the $10 million bounty off the jihadists in Syria's head so that they can get the sanctions lifted off for them and let them, gear up and get prepared? You see where this is going? You see the mentality of the white man in America?
En la forma que a él le gustaba hablar fue clarito, ¿no es cierto? En eso no lo puedo dudar, que fue clarito. Sabe que Bush es, el presidente Bush, todavía es...
President Bush is,
Bueno, queda 6 días.
well, he's only got 6 more days to go in office, right?
Yes.
Thank God.
Thank God, huh? Well, look at Genesis 27. And Isaac, his father, answered and said unto him, Behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth and the dew of heaven above. This was the blessing that Esau was given after Isaac was getting ready to pass away. Verse 40, and by thy sword shalt thou live, and shalt serve thy brother, and it shall come to pass when thou shalt have the dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. So we see in various times that this came to pass. The Edomites was under under tribute under David at one point in time. And then when David's kingdom was split and had issues, Esau used that as an opportunity to shake out and, started establishing their own independence again. We know what happened during the time of the Dark Ages from around 400 AD to 1453 AD. They were in the bottomless pit of Europe, out of power, into the Renaissance, right? So we're seeing these things come to pass, but key thing is he's going to live by the sword. He's going to make his living off of the sword. You understand that? So that's why he said, America's always been prosperous when it's time for war. They're making money off of these wars, defense spending. This is the same reason why they can say, well, we got to go to war. We've got to get any money that we need to go ahead on and get approved so that the Federal Reserve will print up this money and give us the money. You get blank checks to get out there, go to war. America has the biggest military budget in the world, right? So we're seeing that this is all the so-called white men. By that sword thou shalt live, and we're seeing right there. President Kushner said that's what Bush says. We got to go to war. Now we're seeing it, right? Let's continue. In private, some Israeli officers admit that Gaza is on the brink of starvation. So when Christ said that there's going to be famines and pestilence, you see it going on in Africa, you see it in the Middle East, you're seeing it in Gaza. Starvation is real. It's going on in India. It's going on in South and Central America, Haiti. You're seeing in Haiti, they're over there eating mud cookies. Literal cookies made out of mud. We got it good over here in America, man. To keep it real, we know we're in the curses, we're in the hoods and the ghettos and the barrios and all that other stuff. But guess what? We got EBT, we got SNAP. You can go to your local whatever Burger King and get you a meal deal for 2 burgers for $5 and a pizza for $6.99. Although it ain't all good for us, but it's available. But see, that's why the Most High said that, the servants is going to eat and all the other stuff. We know we over here in captivity, but the Lord said He's going to make our enemies entreat good unto us in our bondage. And that's in Jeremiah 15:11. So if we have opportunity, we can't ignore the prophecy of what's going on outside of our world. We can't get tunnel vision and think, man, famine, well, we good. 2/3 of the earth damn near is in famine and poverty. They said 25 million people over in Sudan is damn near about to die because of starvation and famine. 25 million. Look, the Lord said, verily it shall be well with thy remnant. Verily I will cause the enemy to entreat thee well in the time of evil and in the time of affliction. So, we're going to get preferential treatment being over here in the Western Hemisphere in modern day Babylon, North, South, Central America, the Caribbean islands, by and large as a whole. Although we know we're scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, there's a vast remnant of the Lord's people over here. And we're getting entreated well in some aspects to maintain. But that can be a crutch where our people don't realize. That's why you see a lot of our people don't even think we're in captivity. They don't even think we're in bondage because of this situation right here. But best believe the famine is definitely on. Look at 25 million, did I say? In Sudan. Oh, I said 25. Excuse me. 26 million people are facing acute hunger. That's in the Sudan. Oh, no, here goes 25. Okay. So the famine is on. They're starving them out over there. Israel's government has publicly dismissed warnings of extreme food shortages after it blocked aid deliveries, but an internal analysis concluded that a crisis looms if food supplies are not restored. They said they've barely been delivering any of the food. They've been blocking it off. The small hat GMO frauds, as much as they love to claim victimhood and how much everybody's done them wrong, and they're just everybody hates them. But when the shoe's on the other foot, they use every ounce of power that they have to destroy, kill, maim, rape, murder, frame, lie against everybody that they can put their foot on their neck. Some Israeli military officials have privately concluded that Palestinians in Gaza face widespread starvation unless aid deliveries are restored within weeks. According to 3 Israeli defense officials familiar with conditions in the enclave. For months, Israel has maintained that its blockade on food and fuel to Gaza did not pose a major threat to civilian life. What? They said that the small hat said that us blocking out food and supplies and fuel is not a major threat to the civilian life. Do I need to even elaborate on that? Let somebody tell you don't need food, you don't need fuel, you don't need water. It's not a major threat to your livelihood. Relax. I mean, how can they say that with a straight face? Unbelievable. Let's continue. China sees the U.S. trade deal as a huge win for Beijing. You know that Trump backed down. We talked about it last week. He, rearranged them sanctions, dropped them down. Now it's down. I think China's getting 30% tariffs and America's getting 10%. And they say that's a win. We were getting raped by the Chinese tariffs. Now we're getting 30% on them and they only getting 10 on us. Yeah, but what happened to the 145? What happened to that big talk? Is that a victory? China sitting back saying, yeah, good. We duped you anyway. You could have shook us down and held us hostage, but guess what? We had the cards. You depend more on Chinese imports than we do. We got no problem starving out our people. We'll throw all our people in the damn gulag and feed them rice and water every day. and cut off, get back to the one-child policy. Tell them they can't have kids, and organ harvest to keep. They don't give a damn over there. Trump knew that and said, "Let's back down, man. These damn heathens over there, they don't play." Remember that? Oh, we're going to be very nice. We're going to be very nice. We're going to take care. We're going to be good. We're going to be fair. We're not going. What am I going to do? Tell China what to do? Like, remember that? All that changed. China's casting the trade agreement with the U.S. as a victory with 2 days of negotiations with U.S. officials. China got the Trump administration to roll back its 145% tariffs, which had all but halted bilateral trade. Now, mind you, that's only for 90 days, though. They still got to get back to the drawing board, or all bets is off. So by the end of the summer, we'll know. If there's a new deal in place or they stick with the one that they have, we'll see. Stock markets across the world surged after Beijing and Washington announced a deal. And remember, man, last week, Trump said it too. He said after they did the deal with Saudi Arabia, I think, or it could have been the deal that he did with the UK. And he said, "Oh, big things are coming. You might want to invest in the stock market right now. Get in the stocks." He gave everybody the damn inside track, knew that the damn stock market is fixed. I mean, that's how you know they out here playing games with and tricking the books, and with the push of a button, they can make things rise or drop. Last week he said, "You might want to get in on the stocks now." Because what? The next week he says, "Oh, we got to deal with China. We're going to lower the tariffs," and the market reacts. Everything shoots back up. They're predictably running game with people's livelihoods and the money, and they're running games with the stock market. It's all rigged. How are you going to tell everybody in a few days the market's going to go up, and all of a sudden he's holding back information that he knows they're going to react to? Last week he was talking about, we got a big deal coming down. I can't speak on a big deal. And he said it didn't involve trade. And the only thing he's been talking about is trade. So I don't know what this big deal he was supposed to talk about the end of last week. He still ain't said it. So another damn lie. So stock markets across the world surged after Beijing and Washington announced a deal. They are arguing that the defiant public posture worked and was a major reason they were able to strike a deal with the U.S. officials in Switzerland with relatively few concessions. China's firm countermeasures and resolute stance have been highly effective, said a social media account linked to China's national broadcaster, CCTV. So, yeah, they went from 145% down to 30. Who won that? You tell me. Moving on. Moody's downgrades the United States credit rating, citing growth in government debt. Moody's has been a holdout in keeping U.S. sovereign debt at the highest credit rating possible and brings a 116-year-old agency into line with its rivals. The decision to lower the United States credit profile would be expected at the margin to lift the yield that investors demand in order to buy U.S. Treasury debt to reflect more risk and could dampen sentiments toward owning U.S. assets, including stocks. Ratings cut the United States sovereign credit rating down one notch from AA1 to AAA, the highest possible, citing the growing burden of financing the federal government's budget deficit and the rising cost of rolling over existing debt and high interest rates. So they've got existing debt, high interest, budget problems, financing the household budget. Sound familiar? Sound like every Black and Hispanic household, Native American household. That's what America is right now. And here comes the credit agencies riding through, and they're like, "Oh, we're going to drop you down a notch. You used to have good credit. Now it's going down." So again, another sign that America is faltering and cracks in the armor are showing. Credit is down. But notice it says citing government debt. Look at this. Hold on. Where's it? Here we go. Habakkuk 2:6. It says, "Shall not all these take up a parable against him and taunting proverb against him and say, Woe to him that increaseth that which is not his? How long unto him that ladeth himself with thick clay? So speaking about America. And it says that they're increasing that which is not his, meaning what? They're borrowing. They're mortgaging. They're getting stuff that's not theirs and laded themselves with thick clay. Well, that word thick clay, that clay, you see the word aptit. And it says what? Weight of pledges or heavy debts. Let's look at it in the NLT. I'm gonna read that real quick. In Habakkuk. So this can make a little more sense. Habakkuk 2. Let's read it in a little bit plainer language real quick. So it says that this place is going to be laden with heavy debts. Okay, Habakkuk 2:2 says, the Lord said unto me, write my answer plainly on tablets so that the runner can carry the correct message to others. This vision is for a future time. It describes the end, and it will be fulfilled. If it seems slow in coming, wait patiently, for it will surely take place. It will not be delayed. Look at the proud. They trust in themselves, and their lives are crooked. MAGA. Trusting in themselves. They're trusting in tech, AI, Elon. They're trusting in the money. They're trusting in the art of the deal, all of that stuff, right? But the righteous will live by the faithfulness to the Most High. Wealth is treacherous, and the arrogant are never at rest. They open their mouths as wide as the grave, and like death, they are never satisfied. In their greed, they have gathered up many nations and swallowed up many peoples. But soon their captors will taunt them. They will mock them, saying, what sorrow awaits you, thieves? Now you will get what you deserve. You become rich by extortion, but how longer can this go on? Suddenly your debtors will take action. They will turn on you and take all you have while you stand trembling and helpless. That's essentially what is going to be happening to America. That's why I made mention of that, and we've gone over it in Revelations 17 and verse 16, and Obadiah verse 6, among other scriptures, that the nations are going to turn on America. But it's letting it be known that they've been laden with heavy debts. Now we're seeing a bad credit in the whole nine. But remember, it said this is a vision that's going to happen, and it's going to happen. It's a future time. That's what it said in the NLT. In King James, for the vision is yet for an appointed time, meaning a future time. But at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. It's not going to tarry. And we're seeing these things come to pass right now. Right? America's credit rating going down because of what? Heavy debts. See that? And what did it say? Citing growth in government debt. This is the end times that we're in. You can't make it up, man. All praise to the Most High. That's what Scripture says is going to happen. Let's continue. Supreme Court rules against Trump administration in Alien Enemies Act case. This guy is wild. So not only do we see Satan dividing against Satan, because everything that he's trying to sign into order, a lot of these Supreme Court justices are ruling against him. They're striking it down. He just put forward the bill that he was trying to do his tax break act. When he said he was going to do no overtime no taxes on tips, no taxes on overtime, and some other stuff. They just shot that down. So one of his promises that everybody was sitting back saying, "Damn, I can't wait." Oh, the Social Security, they're going for the elderly. They was going to tax that. They shut that down. So a lot of the things that people were, voting him in on that he promised, he forgot to make mention that, the Supreme Court's got to approve it too, and I got beef with them. So, look at this. The Supreme Court said that he can't deport Venezuelans now. Supreme Court granted a request by Venezuelan nationals seeking to block their removal from the United States under the Alien Enemies Act. And look what Trump said. The court, quote, won't allow us to get criminals out of our country. So this damn dude, he strokes with a broad brush and says that all the Venezuelans that he's got waiting for deportation, they're all criminals. They're all criminals. That's the so-called white man in a nutshell, man. This is how you know that he has targeted our people. Where are the Chinese at? How come you ain't talking about you ain't getting rid of them? Remember 60 Minutes? I played the video. The 60 Minutes said that the Chinese was the ones flooding the borders and sneaking in. They had them on video. They're the largest group of immigrants in America. Nobody's talking about the ones that's been sneaking over here from Ukraine. Nobody's talking about the ones that's coming in from the Middle East. He's targeting the 10 tribes, and he says they're all criminals. Innocent or not, get out of here. You're out of here. And if I can't get you out the country, I'm gonna throw you in Alcatraz. This dude is diabolical, man. The court barred the removal of the men who Trump administration alleged are members of Trinidad, pending a new decision from a lower court. Remember that the last guy he said was MS-13 gang member, and it was damn Photoshop and AI imposing tattoos on his hand. Unbelievable. Here we go. Let's continue. Here we go. Kristi Noem wants migrants to compete for citizenship under a quote Hunger Games style reality show. Homeland Security Secretary. That's her position. Homeland Security. And this is her proposal. She reportedly wants the U.S. citizenship process to play out in front of the cameras. I mean, you can't make this up, man. The Homeland Security Secretary has been working with writer and producer Rob Warsoff to pitch a reality show titled The American, where immigrants will compete in a string of challenges across the country for the honor of, for the honor of fast-tracking their way to U.S. citizenship, according to the Daily Mail. Citing a copy of Warsoff's 35-page program pitch, Daily Mail reported that the Canadian-born producer aims to, quote, celebrate what it means to be an American and have a national conversation about what it means to be American through the eyes of the people who want it most. I'm about to throw up, man. You thought I was capping. You thought I was BSing, man. I know y'all said, Hunger, come on. For real? Yeah, for real. But there's nothing new under the sun. Nothing new under the sun. How about this second Maccabees 4? Let me get right to the point. We'll start at 10. We're gonna, you know what? Let me rise up just a little bit. Let's start at verse 7. It says, but after the death of Seleucus, when Antiochus called Epiphanes, took the kingdom, Jason, the brother of Onias, labored underhand to be high priest. So Seleucus dies, Antiochus, rises up. I believe this is around 167 BC. And we know about Antiochus being the wickedest in the time of the wicked being in control. Antiochus was evil as hell. Y'all know it. You've seen and heard and understand the history of the Maccabees, the history of the Feast of Dedication, Memorial Assignment, by the way, coming up this Monday, sundown, Memorial of Simon, another glorious day, feast day of the Lord for us to celebrate and to keep in commemoration of our brothers who fought against these evil Greeks who oppressed us, killed us, slaughtered us, colonized us, and we fought to keep our laws, statutes, and commandments alive and well so that we can have it today. And that's what that is, right? So make sure y'all lock in for that. Now you got Uncle Tom, Jason, who wanted to be high priest, negotiating and doing his Stephen from Django, Stephen from Django routine to be high priest. It says, what did he do? Promising unto the king by intercession 303 score talents of silver and another revenue 80 talents. So he's trying to pay his way into the high priesthood by giving high tribute to Antiochus. Verse 9, it says, besides this, he promised to assign 150 more if he might have license to set up a place for exercise. Remember in First Maccabees, chapter 1 and verse 11, it says that they were evil men that persuaded the Jews to saying, let's live after the ways of the Greeks. I think it's 1 and 11. It said wicked men persuaded the Jews to be like the Greeks. This one, the Apocrypha in that history is so important, man, because it helps us understand and know about the Gentiles of the New Testament. What happened to the Hellenization? Why were we being called Greeks? It wasn't talking about the damn whites in every instance, especially when it came down to salvation and the gospel. It dang sure wasn't. It's about the diaspora and the scattered and those that were lost to who they were. Continuing on, it says, if he might have a license to set up a place of exercise and for the training up of youth in the fashions of the heathens and to write them of Jerusalem by the name of the Antiochans. So he says, look, let me get a place of exercise. I'm going to train up the youth, the Jewish youth. I'm going to train them up in the sports and the Olympics and in the gladiator sports and everything else. Fashions of the heathen. They're even going to have a name, the Antiochans, the team name, right? Which when the king had granted, he had gotten into his hand the rule, he forthwith brought his own nation to Greekish fashion. So here they are fashioning themselves after the Greeks, becoming Hellenized, going after the ways of the heathen. You understand? So verse 11, and the royal privileges granted of special favor to the Jews. Oh, royal privileges. Oh, now you're becoming Antiochans. Now you're becoming quote unquote Americans. Compete in the games. Places of exercise. You become full-fledged Americans. Sound familiar? And the royal privileges granted of special favor to the Jews by the means of John, the father of Eupolemus, who went ambassador to Rome for amnesty and aid, he took away and putting down the governments which were according to the law. He brought up new customs against the law. For he built gladly a place of exercise under the tower itself and brought the chief young men under his subjection and made them wear a hat. Now, such as the height of the Greek fashions and the increase of heathenish manners through the exceeding profaneness of Jason, the ungodly wretch, and no high priest. I'm gonna stop there, but y'all can read the rest of this. You can see what happened, man. You had Uncle Tom's of our people persuading and telling our people, go out there, get in uniform, wear the Greek fashions, compete in these little games, and work out in the gymnasiums and follow after the heathenistic ways, and you become a full-fledged Antiochian. Some may say Antiochian. And what is she talking about? Christy Nome. She says, well, we want to see them compete for the honor of fast-tracking their way to U.S. citizenship. Look at that. 35-page pitch program. Homeland Security Assistant Secretary Tricia McLaughlin told the Daily Beast that the show's concept is under consideration, though she denied that Nome had reviewed the pitch in question. The concept is, quote, in the very beginning stages of the vetting process, she added, and approval has not been given or denied. So it's on the table. They want to create a quote unquote Hunger Games type citizenship. Yeah, you're right. Death race type stuff, Shalai. Yeah, they want to compete. You know, who wants it bad? Who wants it more? Remember, even in America, they've been trying to pay them $1,000 to get up out of here. So they're like, well, you know what? We might as well have fun with this. You know, when Trump was charging $5 million to get the Trump gold card, you could pay for your citizenship. He's all about the money. Isn't that what they said? Was it $5 million? Yeah, the gold card. Look at it. Trump Gold Card is a proposed immigration initiative that would allow foreign investors to obtain permanent residency in the U.S. by making $5 million investment. This ambassador, give me $5 million, and we can work on a deal to get you permanent residency. Otherwise, we got some Hunger Games lined up for you, or we got Alcatraz. We can throw you in the hellholes over there in the El Salvador prisons, where you'll never be found again. How about that? It says, without the requirement to create jobs or actively manage a business, the proposal is still in the conceptual stage and requires legislative approval before it can be implemented. If they're coming up with all kind of ideas and this, insidious type ideas against the quote unquote migrants, and he's aiming it at our people, right? This damn wicked witch, look at her. She laughing. She think it's all fun and games. Let's continue. Price tag for Trump's military festival could reach $45 million. I mean, here we are, and he's supposed to be running through all government agencies with those and doing these forensic audits and scrubbing the books and saving money. But guess what? When it comes down to his birthday party, he's going to throw a $45 million military display. Doesn't this remind you of something out of, North Korea? Something out of Russia? You see them with the, or better yet, how about Rome? With, the chariots going out, and you're seeing the splendor of the Caesar and everything that's underneath of his army, showing his military might. Trump is doing it like no other, man. So at a time when he's supposed to be saving money and trying to budget and get things in order, here he is spending $45 million just to go out here and show off the military. A massive military parade and festivities are planned in Washington next month will cost an estimated $25 million to $45 million and will involve dozens of warplanes, hundreds of Army vehicles, and thousands of soldiers from across the country sleeping in downtown government office buildings, an Army spokesperson said Thursday. The parade to commemorate the U.S. Army's 250th anniversary. Remember that. I told you about the birthday, so-called, is July 1776, but they're doing it on June 14th. It says it's going to be held June 14th, the same day as President Trump's 79th birthday. So you see how we even switched the day. Supposedly Independence Day, July 4th. That's what everybody's running out, wrapping themselves in American flags and popping fireworks and whatever else goes on and roasting your damn hot dogs and all that other folly. It's supposed to be July 4th. He switches it off to be on his birthday, June 14th. Same day as President Trump's 79th birthday, and will include a representation from all active Army divisions and Steve Warren, a spokesperson for the branch. So we see what he's up to. $45 million. And they get ready to have it in Washington, where blocks away from Washington is the heart of the damn ghetto in D.C., Chocolate City. Food deserts and, everything else. The one local grocery store, remember I covered the article last year, they said they were about to go out of business, going to create food scarcity over there. He got $45 million. He could break bread, but no. It's his birthday. He's got to show everybody what he's working with. Hypocrisy at its finest. Let's continue. Nissan to cut 20,000 jobs globally as sales fall in China and the U.S. as firm refuses to say whether 6,000 staff at Sunderland plant could be hit. I thought America was being great again. Apparently not. 2,000 local Microsoft workers, they're going to be laid off this summer. More cuts is coming to Microsoft. 2,000 getting chopped down in Washington. So much for that. My mother-in-law, she just got laid off out of the blue. Get a notification, email. Hey, the big boss is coming down to speak to everybody. It's very important meeting. We need to talk to everybody. Blah blah blah. In that same meeting, it was today's your last day. No heads up, no pre-warning, nothing. Everything shut down. You're out of here. It's bad out there, man. And these companies is cutthroat. They're trying to save themselves, bottom line, and doing whatever they can to maintain. They don't give a damn. 2,000 Microsoft, 20,000 Nissan. The list goes on. We talked about it earlier. Erie Silent, second major airport, hit with an outage as 20 pilots unable to reach air traffic control for 6 minutes while trying to land. This was in Denver. They're making it hard to even want to fly anywhere. They said this so-called Memorial Day weekend, more people are driving than flying. Nobody's trusting the airlines right now. 20 pilots unable to reach air traffic control for 6 minutes trying to land their planes. Can you imagine? What if they didn't have 6 minutes worth of gas left? You know, they're still having issues over there in Newark Airport. We've seen all of the damn issues that they've been having over the last couple of months with damn near plane crashes every week. This place is crumbling faster than we can see, you know. They had an earthquake over there in Egypt, 6.4. Got to pay attention to that. 6.4 over in Egypt, right? So we've seen famines, we've seen earthquakes, we've had wars or rumors of wars. We've seen America falling via debt. We're seeing even the technological, what they supposedly are making advancements is now faltering. You know, the nations now are being set up for failure. They're going to be rising up against America soon enough. You know, so we're seeing it all. Seeing it all. All we got to do is continually stay tuned. And we're going to see what else pans out over the rest of the week. Make it a nice little, my standards is kind of short today. It's about an hour, 45 minutes. But all praise, honor, go to the Most High, man. Prayerfully, everybody got a little edification tonight. Got some information to chew on, to sleep on. And we'll carry over tomorrow in Shabbat. MOTC will have a closing Sabbath class around 4:15 tomorrow. Come join us. And Lord willing, you have a blessed Shabbat and good evening. All right. See y'all in the near future. All praise, honor, glory to the Most High. Always remember, fear the Most High, keep the commandments, and don't shoot your messenger. Shalom.